So you're at the dinner with your friends and you want to make a lasting impression. Do you know what would really impress them? Being able to explain the difference between a mutual fund, an index fund, and an ETF. Hi, if you're new to the channel, my name is Tay from Financial Tortoise, a channel dedicated to helping the Sandwich generation reach financial security. In this video, I want to share with you a proven method to knock your dinner mates off their feet. After you watch this video and you explain to them the difference between a mutual fund, an index fund, and an ETF, you'll be the most popular guy at the dinner table. Trust me on this one. Let's start out with mutual funds. It's actually the oldest of the three. It first started out in Europe and made its way to the United States in the 1890s. Its technical definition is that it is a professionally managed investment fund that pools money from many investors to purchase securities. In simple terms, it was created as a way for a group of rich people to pool their money together and purchase investments. The concept is quite powerful because it provides individual investors several benefits. Diversification. Diversification in investing is very important because by diversifying your investments across many companies and industries, you're reducing your investing risk. Imagine if you had all your money in one company. If that company did well, yes, you can make a lot of money. However, if that one company crashed, then you've just lost all your money. However, if you had purchased a mutual fund that has several companies within it, you're diversified and your risk drops. Even if one crashed, that is just one of the many companies you own within that mutual fund. As the saying goes, you aren't putting all your eggs in one basket. In order to replicate this diversification on your own, you will need to purchase multiple single stocks and manage them all on your own. And this highlights the next benefit, which is convenience. Imagine that a mutual fund has 100 stocks within it. Instead of hitting buy on that one single mutual fund, can you imagine purchasing 100 single stocks on your own one by one? And what if you want to update your portfolio with different stocks? You would manually have to sell and buy new ones. The introduction of mutual funds into the market was revolutionary because it gave people the convenience of diversification in an instance. However, the one key difference between a mutual fund and other vehicles we'll discuss here in a bit, such as index funds and ETFs, is that they're managed by investment professionals. Some would argue that this is a benefit of owning a mutual fund. Let the experts take care of managing my money. I have no idea what I'm doing anyways. That might be good for some people, but I would think twice before handing over the control of my investments to someone else. Professional fund managers' primary goal with the fund they manage is to beat the index. We'll talk more about index funds in the next section, but simply think of a fund that includes all the publicly traded companies in the market. According to Goldman Sachs data, the average 10-year stock return is 9.2%. The fund manager's goal is trying to beat that average. Try to get its investors more than 9.2% in return. However, this comes at a cost. For managing your money and trying to beat the index, they charge an annual fee, also known as expense ratio. And this could range from 1 to 2% of your account balance. Imagine you had invested $100,000 into an actively managed mutual fund, and the fund manager charges you 2% for his or her service. You're paying $2,000 annually, and this gets charged regardless of how well the fund is doing, whether doing really well or not doing well at all. Compare that to my favorite index fund, VTSAX, which only charges 0.04%. That's 50 times less. Unless your fund manager is ridiculously amazing, and this is pretty rare, you could end up with less money than you started out with. So for most people, I wouldn't recommend mutual funds because they just are not worth the high fees. Have you owned mutual funds in the past? Please let me know in the comments below. Or do you actually have any right now? What's its expense ratio? I had some in the past and I was shocked to find out how much I was paying someone to manage something that wasn't doing much better than an index fund. Moving on to index fund, my favorite type of investment. The king of all index fund investments are created and managed by a company called Vanguard. It was founded by a gentleman named Jack Bogle. He wanted to provide the regular investor the ability to tap into the amazing growth of the stock market without the need to go through an investment manager and the high fees. Actually, when you step back, there are a lot of similarities between mutual funds and index funds. They both provide diversification through the ability to purchase multiple companies in a single fund. And they also provide the convenience that comes with being able to buy a group of stocks with just a single click. However, here's the key difference. While mutual funds are actively managed by fund managers, index funds are passively managed. Unlike a human selecting what he or she thinks is the best company to add to the mutual fund, an index fund has a formula that just tracks an index. You most likely have heard of them. Standard & Poor's 500 Index, also known as S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average, or simply Dow Jones. The S&P is tracking the 500 largest publicly traded companies. The Dow Jones tracks 30 large cap companies. And what the index fund does is literally just mirror the index, whether it is the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones. It simply buys whatever stocks are in the index it is trying to mirror. No person is making the buy or sell decisions. A formula takes care of all of that because it isn't trying to beat the market, it is just following the market. And this is where the best part of owning an index fund comes in. Because there are no fund managers and analysts the fund needs to pay for, it can keep its annual expenses quite low. My favorite index, the VTSAX from Vanguard, only charges 0.04% annually. Again, this is 50 times less than what an actively managed mutual fund would charge. For a busy individual like yourself trying to manage a full household, there's no need to pay extra for a mutual fund that most likely won't do any better than an index fund. I would recommend an index fund over a mutual fund any day. But first, if you're enjoying this video and you want to learn more about personal finance and navigating life as a sandwich generation, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit the like button because that would really help out the channel. Now, let's move on to ETFs. ETFs are the lesser known younger brother of the two funds that we just discussed. But it sounds much cooler, so knowing this will surely impress your dinner mates. ETFs, also known as exchange traded funds, they're similar to index funds in the sense that they too track an index. And like an index fund, ETF funds are also passively managed. No fund manager in between to meddle in your business. However, the key difference between the two is that while an index fund trades once a day when the market closes, ETFs trades throughout the day. As its name implies, exchange traded funds, ETFs trade on an exchange like individual stocks, while mutual funds and index funds do not. This in essence gives you more flexibility. It's easier to get in and out of the market than an index fund since you don't have to wait until the market closes for your trade to go through. However, you have to consider what additional value this flexibility is providing. And is it more than what you can get with just purchasing a simple index fund? If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I advocate for long-term investing. I mean, this channel is called Financial Tortoise for a reason. To me, the ability to trade throughout the day doesn't add much value. We should be investing for the long run, and I mean 5 to 10 year horizons, not a day. If you had to choose between an ETF and an index fund, I would say the index fund wins again. There you go, guys. I hope this helps you to better understand the difference between a mutual fund, index, and ETFs. Now, go and dazzle your dinner mates with your amazing knowledge about the market. If you found value from this video, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of my other upcoming videos. I firmly believe that being part of the sand generation doesn't have to mean financial stress. With careful planning and preparation, we can thrive during this stage of life. Help me spread the knowledge. Thank you again, and I'll see you in my next video.